What up, Algebra Squad? Welcome to a new lesson. This is lesson 4.1. Please take note. Please take note to the upper right-hand corner of every single page of every single slide that I have here. So notice that right now we are on page 209. Make sure you have your book ready because we're going to be flipping back and forth. The way that we're going to do this lesson, and maybe the future ones as well, is we're going to be doing the example problems. And then as soon as we finish with one single example problem, we'll be jumping to the practice problems for that example. All right. So make sure you keep track of the top right-hand corner of those pages so you know where we are at any given time. So obviously right now we're on page 209, and let's go ahead and read to see what lesson this is. All right, so this lesson is writing equations in slope-intercept form. This lesson and the next one should feel a little bit simple, very, very simple, because we've already talked about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is when we grab an equation of a line and we rearrange it so it looks a specific way. And that is this: y equals mx plus b, where your slope is m and your y-intercept is b. All right, this is y-intercept, by the way. And the reason why we sometimes like to arrange our equations in this manner is because it's the easiest way to graph it. Remember that we just go ahead and look for your y-intercept and we plug it, right? We plug our y-intercept, and then what we do is we follow the slope, and the slope tells us how much we do rise over run, and then we create another point. Rise over run, we create another point. Rise over run, so on and so forth, and then we can create our line. That is why we like to set our equation to look like that. All right, so let's see what type of questions we have here. Example number 1, write an equation given the slope and a point. Ooh, okay, so they are giving us the slope of the equation and a point that lands on that line. Now, I do want to remind you, a line, think about a line right now. A line is made up of infinite amount of points, infinite. I don't even want to say trillions or quadrillions or any crazy big number like that. It's infinite. There is no finite number that I can actually say. It's infinite amount of points. And out of those infinity amount of points, they actually gave me one of them. So let's just say that this right here is negative 8, -8, 6. Okay. So what can we do with that? If you go ahead and follow these steps right here, this is what we can do. Very, very easy. Go ahead and write out, the book already does it for you, but what I'm saying is when we do our practice problems, this is what you want to do. Write out your slope-intercept formula, like your form, and then substitute your numbers, your values. For X and Y, so you have this green Y, and if you're wondering where that came from, look, we have an X and a Y that was given to us. There was a point that was given to us, X and a Y. So that's why for the Y, we put 6, and then right here, right here for the X, right here, we put -8, which came from here. Okay, so, and then the next thing I'm going to tell you is the M, the slope, is also given to us. So that's it. It's as simple as that. The only thing that's not given to us is the y-intercept. It's the y-intercept. And that's why step 1 says find the y-intercept. All right. So we go ahead and say, okay, our slope is given to us. Our X is given to us with the point, and our Y is given to us with a point as well. Then from here, we just do the math that we know how to do. So we can just multiply these two numbers right here. Hopefully you understand that a negative times a negative is a positive, and that is going to give us 8 times 3 is 24, and then 24 divided by 4 is 6. Our last step here is to, as it says right here, subtract both sides. So we take this 6 to the other side by subtraction, like this, cancel, and we subtract right here, and it so happens that it cancels as well. So we get a y-intercept of 0. Okay, don't freak out. That just means that our line crosses the y-axis at 0. That's it. And then now we have everything we need. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So here's what we do. We're going to go ahead and think about the equation one more time, the slope-intercept form. And all we are going to do is we are going to substitute in these two values, our slope and our y-intercept. That is all we're going to do. All right, so go ahead and follow the flow right here. We substituted in those numbers, and we can simplify by getting rid of 0. We don't need to see 0. Okay, so a good question that somebody might have is, Mr. C, what happened to those points that we were talking about? What happened to this little green point right here? -8,6. What happened to it? Listen to what I'm about to say. The equation that we just created, down here, this right here, this equation is the equation that generates, it represents the infinite amount of points that make this line. So for me to just to utilize these points right, or I'm sorry, not these, this point right here, this specific point right here in my equation is a little selfish because the equation represents the entire line. It's a generic equation that represents the entire line. All right, it's an equation of inputs and outputs. This equation right here will tell me that if my input, aka my x is -8, my output will become 6. Okay, and that's just one of the infinite amount of points. So once again, whenever we're creating our equation, do not utilize an x or a y. Leave that as a y and leave that as an x. All right. So let's move on. We have a little think about it right here to the right-hand side of your book, and it says, what does it mean if b is 0? When an equation is written in slope-intercept form. So the one that we had right now was y equals, I don't even remember it. What was it? -3/4. Okay. Y equals -3/4 x. And then we had +0. So they're asking, what does this mean? Okay. I want you to stop right now and try to think to yourself, what does that mean? And if you're saying that means that the y-intercept is 0, okay, take it one step further. What does that look like in a graph? What does that look like? All right. That looks like this. Somewhere around here, there is a line that has a negative slope. That means the line goes downward, okay? It goes downward. Now, I'm going to do a little reference dot right here. I'm going to do a reference dot, and you'll see what I'm trying to do with that dot right now. Not only does this line go downwards because it's negative from left to right, but also the y-intercept is 0. That means that this line at some point crosses my y-axis at 0. So I need, oh, come on, little point. Okay, there we go. I'll do this. So there is a point that exists right here at 0. Okay. Here's what the book has to say. The graph passes through the origin. All right. However you want to word that, great. But that's what it means. All right. Look now at the page. Oh, it's not on the right, top right. It's on the top left. All right. So we're now on page 213. Please work on a separate sheet of paper. The amount of work that we're going to do right now, for most of you guys, will not fit in the book. All right. So write an equation of the line that passes through the given point, and they give you the slope for it. All right. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, okay, they want me to write an equation, and I know that we're going to do it in slope-intercept form because that's obviously how we just practiced it right now. And what I'm also going to do is ask myself what information was given to me that I can already put in here. So I'll go ahead and label it. Number 1, I have a point. A point is an x and a y. And then number 2, I have slope. Slope is the same thing as m in my equation. So go ahead and input that information. I have a y of 2. I have slope, or an m of 1/2. My 1/2 is multiplying with x, and x right now is the number 4. Always get into the habit of putting parentheses like that. It's going to help you out so you don't freak out with symbols. And that's what we have. Hopefully you start to understand that this, with the practice that we're doing right now, example number 1, b, or the y-intercept, is always not given to us. All right, and now we go ahead and do some math. What is half of 4? When we multiply 4 by 1/2, it's cutting it in half, and that's going to be just 2, okay? And look at what we have. Oh, this is pretty similar to the question that we recently did. We're going to go ahead and take 2 to the other side. Cancel, cancel. And even I'm running out of space here. So let me go ahead and make myself some more room by doing this. I know I won't have enough space. So let me take all this down. Okay. I'm limited. You guys are on a lined piece of paper, so you are able to continue your work that way. But I'm limited right here to the right-hand side, so I'm just gonna try to work downwards. All right, guys, here it is. This also cancels here, so we once again have a y-intercept of 0. And now we are pretty much done. All we're going to do is we're going to grab our y equals mx plus b. We're going to grab this and input this number right here and this number right here. That's it. Don't input an x, don't input a y, because remember that this has to be a generic equation that represents all the coordinates in that line. So by us putting those the slope that they gave us was 1/2. I'm trying to talk and also do this at the same time. And then plus 0, which we already know that it's pretty much just this. Okay, we are done. That is it. Hopefully you wrote it down. And let me just check my work here. There it is. Y equals 1/2 x. And this also, you graphically creates a line. All right, cool, great, moving on. All right, number 2 and 3. I want you to stop it right now, recommending you guys to try it out, 2 and 3. And if you need to, play it really quick to see if you got them right. Here we go. Y equals mx plus b. What's given to me right now is I have a y right here. I have the slope right here, and I have x right here. So I have an xy and a slope. All right, so I'll go ahead and input those numbers in to see what it looks like. I have -2 as my y, equals to m is the number 1/3, x is 3, and then plus b is not given to me. I'll go ahead and do this multiplication right here. This multiplication is the same thing as just whenever you do a fraction times a whole number, just know that the whole number will multiply with the numerator. That's pretty much what's happening. So essentially you have this. 1 times 3 is 3, right? That 3 times this one. And then you keep the denominator as it was a 3. This just equals 1. Okay, so now we have -2 equals 1 plus b. In this step right here, we'll go ahead and take 1 to the other side by inverse operation, which is subtracting. And now we have -3. Remember, -2 when you take away, that's they're in the same team. They're in the negative team. So we get -3. Okay. We're pretty much done. We now go ahead and grab our formula here, y equals mx plus b. And in our formula, we're going to go ahead and say what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. Okay. So we go ahead and leave y as y. Our slope given to us was 1/3, and our y-intercept is -3. So, oh, I forgot something. The x, this x right here. Don't forget that. So it's 1/3 x times 3. Let's see if we got that. Boom, there it is. All right, killing it. If you're getting these right, you pretty much already know the rest of this lesson for the most part. It is as simple as this. The math does not get any more intense. All right, number 3, let's go ahead and see it. Y equals mx plus b. We have x, y, and slope right here. Let's go ahead and say what our y is, which is 4. Change color. A slope of -3/4. Be careful, that's a negative fraction multiplied by the x value of 6. And then we're looking for b, our y-intercept. All right, let's look at this. 6 times 3, what's going to be 6 times 3? That's going to be 18. So then we have 18 divided by 4. How can we reduce that? So let me leave this here. We have a -18 over 4 plus b. And we can reduce the top and the bottom if I wanted to, just so we can have easy, pretty numbers to work with. Let's reduce it by 2. Dividing it by 2 will give me 9 over 2 plus b. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about what is 9 over 2 doing with b. This -9 over 2, what is that doing with b? Think about it for a second. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it for a second. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it for a second. All right. So what they're doing is, hold on. Where's my little whiteboard? All right. So what they're doing is they're adding. A lot of the students here will freak out and then they're going to say, oh, it's subtracting. But it's adding, right? Wrong. This is funny. It's kind of like weird to say. It's like the reverse Uno card that I always say. Yes, it is adding, but this number is causing subtraction. All right. So if you're adding a negative number, that means you're essentially subtracting. So the opposite, what we need to do here, what we want to do here would be to do the opposite of this subtraction, right? So we're going to go ahead and add 9/2 to the other side. So plus 9/2. All right, so that's going to cancel with this because anything by itself minus itself will cancel out. And now we have 4 plus 9/2 is equal to B. Now, really quick, without really using my calculator, just to kind of we have let's go ahead and dumb this down for our brain. How can we add this whole number of 4 and this fraction of 9/2 without really using the calculator? What I want you guys to think about is how can we turn 4 into a fraction? There's several ways of doing this, several fractions that will be equivalent to 4. But think about a fraction that will have the same denominator as this right here. So think about a fraction that has a denominator of 2. Why do I want a denominator of 2? Because adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator is super easy. So what fraction, that has the same denominator as denominator of 2 will create 4? Meaning, what number divided by 2 equals 4? Think about it. Think about it. Boom. Good job. 8. 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. So we can actually say this. Think about that. Doesn't that seem nice and pretty? It does. All right. So 8 plus 9, what does that give us? That gives us 17. 17 divided by 2 is what? You could leave it like that. You could leave it as a 17/2. Or you could just find the decimal value of that. Okay. But I'm going to leave it as a, as a fraction. So here we go. My final product is, I'm going to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals the slope that they gave me, -3/4. And then my x, sorry, don't forget x. And then my y-intercept of a positive 17/2, 17/2. Okay. Now let's see if I made a mistake here. I was just, I went ahead and took the leap of not even checking with, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. See? All right. Moving on to number 6. All right. If you guys are wondering why I'm kind of like taking a little bit to say certain things, I have been wanting to sneeze. My body wants to sneeze. Oh no. But for some reason, like I cannot get it out. So like I'm making that face of like I want to sneeze, but my body is like, not yet. I'm like, I'm ready. All right. Once again, I encourage you guys to pause this sucker right now and try this out. Go, 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 go. Let's do it. So we have a point given to us. That's an XY point. Slope given to us right here. That means that we can go ahead and say y equals mx plus b. We can substitute the y with a 4. We can substitute the slope with a -3. And we can substitute the x with a -5. The only thing that's not given to us, once again, is the y-intercept. That's why we have to find it. So here's the math. The math is pretty much the only thing we have available. It's to multiply a negative times a negative, which is a positive. At 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. This last step right here is to take 15 to the other side. That's a positive 15. Therefore, the opposite would be to subtract. Cancels out right here. And now what do we have? We have -11 is equal to b, or b is equal to -11. And we're pretty much done. We now go ahead and write our equation out. Our equation that represents, the equation of a line that has this point right here and has this little slope, there's the stair pattern is y equals the slope of -3 and x plus, or no, I could put plus and then put my negative 11 like that. But you need to understand that whenever we write our final answers, we don't like saying plus negative numbers. Just put minus 11. Okay. And that's it. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. There it is. Negative 3x minus 11. Gotcha. All right. Now, I also encourage you guys to do this. If you're kind of, if you're one of those students that likes to understand why, or like if you're trying to, if you're listening to me and you're trying to say like, prove it kind of to your brain, if you're that type of student that likes to learn about knowing more, go ahead. I do challenge you guys to go ahead and put this into decimals right here. Put that into decimals. And what I want you to see is the first thing is that this point is on that line. That point is on that line. And then the next thing that I want you to see is that the line is made up of this slope right here, meaning from one point to the other point, you go down three to the right one. So down 3 to the right one, you will keep making down 3 to the right one, down 3 to the right one. You will keep finding the points that make that line, okay? Challenge yourself on that one. And then not only that, but also that this right here, negative 11, is where we cross the y-intercept. That's why we called it the y-intercept. Duh. I'm sorry, the y-axis. That's where we cross the y-axis. That's why we call it the y-intercept. All right, moving on. X, y, slope of 1/2. Y equals mx plus b. What do we have? We have y as 3. We have the slope of 1/2, and we have x as floor. We have b as unknown. All right, let's go ahead and math. 1/2 of 4 is 2. So we have, okay, we have 2 right here, plus 4. We take 2 to the other side by subtraction. And if you're wondering if I'm, or kind of telling yourself, whoa, slow down there, bud, you're going way too fast. Remember, I've been asking you guys to try to pause it and try it on your own. Right now, you should just be checking your answer. I've been, all these questions are the same thing over and over, just different numbers. So you should be trying this on your own to see if you're getting it right. All right, the slope that they gave us was 1/2. So my line that represents this is y equals 1/2 x plus 1. 1/2 x plus 1. Let's see. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, number 6. Here's it. Here it is. Here it is. We got x, we got y, we got slope. I should just start making my videos with a wrap, and that's it. Y equals mx plus b, where my y is -5, slope is -3/2. X multiplication is 1. Y-intercept is unknown. All right, so pretty much anything times 1 is just itself, so that's what we have. Nothing changes there. We then take -3/2 to the other side by adding, okay, by adding. That 3/2 wants to subtract because it's a negative number, so we're going to go ahead and add. Oh, I almost messed up there. Okay, now once again, I'm going to not use calculator to show you guys how easy it is to understand fractions, so you guys don't freak out and you can use these little concepts in your tests if you don't have a calculator, because remember, you do have parts on the test that there are no calculators. Now, remember that this is a -5, so we do have to put 3/2, okay, -5. Instead of me putting 5, I want to make it into a fraction that, a fraction that makes 5, but it has a 2 in the denominator. So what divided by 2 will give me 5? That's the number 10. So that is what I want to make 5 into. It'll make this subtraction a lot easier. Okay. Okay, what are you doing to my life? I want to delete this little circle. Can I do that? All right, this thing hates me. All right, here we go. So what is b? B is this right here, 3/2 minus 10/2. As a reminder, all I did was change that into this. That's what I did. And it should make sense. Pay attention. It should give you a negative number because 5 is a large number. 5 is a whole number, and then you're just and 5 is negative, and then you're adding just a fraction to it. 3/2 it's a tiny fraction. Okay, it's 1.5. So 3 minus 10. 3 minus 10. That's going to give you -7. Leave your denominators the same, and then you're left with B. We are done. If you're thinking that, oh my God, this was going to be so difficult because of the fractions. No, we're not. It's just 3 minus 7. You'd leave the denominator as 2. All right, so our final answer is y equals our given slope of -3/2 x minus 7/2. That's my y-intercept that I found right here. Okay, so let's see if that's right. -3/2 x. Let's see. Bada boom. Nice. All right, guys. Here's where I'm going to stop this video with example number 1. I hope this was easy peasy lemon squeezy. If not, remember that you can always ask me questions. Peace out.